Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about situational interview questions. My name is Nancy Matherly from Desert Haven Enterprises in Lancaster, California, and I teach employment skills and I help people find work out in the community. In this video, we're going to learn what is a situational interview question, why do hiring managers ask this type of question, how to use the STAR format to answer the questions, and you'll see some more examples of situational questions. What is a situational interview question? It means talking about how you would handle certain situations on the job. Situational, talking about situations where you're expected to figure out the situation and provide solutions on how you would handle it. The person doing the interview might give you a situation and ask, what would you do about that situation? Because they want to learn about your problem-solving skills and how you handle difficult issues on the job. And when you give real-life examples of your work experience, you're showing them that you can handle those problems and difficult issues on the job. Why do they ask that? We just talked about a little bit. They want to hire employees that can work independently after training. Of course, you can ask lots of questions, but this means being able to figure out solutions to problems without a lot of assistance, that you could figure stuff out for yourself. When you tell them about a time that you solved a problem at work, you're showing them that you can work independently. That's why they ask. The STAR format, I know we've talked about lots of times, is a great way to answer a lot of different types of interview questions, but especially behavioral or situational questions. You're going to talk about use the STAR format, which we've seen a lot of times before: situation, task, action, and results. We're going to go over each one of those individually. The situation: where was the job? What was the job? Don't use industry lingo to talk about that job. Make sure that they understand where you were working. Don't use abbreviations or nicknames for the job, so that you want to paint a clear picture for that interviewer of where you were working so they can kind of see it in their mind. Task and action: what was the job and what was your part of the job? We were working at Macy's, and my job was to take care of the children's department. And I got in that day and there was a whole bunch of clothes in my department that did not belong. That was the problem. So the task and action could also be the problem. What action did you take in that situation? So you talked about where you were working, what was your job, and then what action did you take when there was a problem. At Macy's, I noticed there was a bunch of clothes that did not belong in my department. I get them all out and I put them in the right department. And then at the end of your answer, talk about the success. The successful result of your problem is either a happy customer, a quality work, the work got done right, happy customer, I'm going to say that again, or what was the third? Safety, deadlines. If you had a strict deadline and everyone got it done on time, that would be another successful result. So where you were working, what were you doing, what was the problem, what action did you take, and what was the result of all that? So you want to tell a little story. It's going to be 2 or 3 sentences at least talking about the answer to that question. We're going to go over some of those now. Here's some examples of situational interview questions that you might hear in an interview. A lot of times these questions start with, tell me about a time. Like, tell me about a time you were under a lot of pressure. What was going on and how did you get through it? You don't have to, these answers don't have to be super complicated and the problems don't have to be super complicated. Just show that you can get through it. So pressure could mean a deadline. That's usually what it means. Or maybe someone is absent and you have to do more work than usual. How did you get through that, right? What was the result of that? Is you got everything done on time without freaking out because you were under a lot of pressure. You stayed calm, got the work done, maybe worked faster. Tell me about your proudest professional accomplishment. That would be a situation where you would talk about, you wouldn't necessarily have to use a star story for this. If you have safety awards or attendance awards, you could talk about. But if it does have the capability of being a star story question, then you can. I was working at Macy's and I got an award for something, something like that. I'm just using Macy's as an example. Tell me about a time you set a goal for yourself. How did you go about ensuring that you would meet that objective? If they ask you about goals, make sure that you pick something that where you know the steps to that goal. Watch my goal setting videos and talk about the steps you're taking to meet that goal or a goal you've already met and the steps that you took to meet that goal. That's what they want to hear, that you understand what it takes to meet a goal. Okay. Tell me about a time when you made sure a customer was pleased with your service. Okay. That's just a different way of asking the same customer service question about how you went above and beyond for a customer. Talk about where you were working, what problem the customer had, and how you made sure that that customer is happy when they left. That's your result, your successful result. The question could also start with describe a time. It's really all the same thing. Notice the word time is in all of these questions. Describe a time when you had to deal with a difficult customer. Again, another customer service question. In fact, they probably won't ask you two customer service questions, whether it's a difficult customer or not. What was the situation and how did you handle it? You tell them about a time that you made a customer happy, especially if it was an upset customer, that you turned them around and they got what they needed and you took care of the problem. Describe a time when you struggled to build a relationship with someone important. This one is different that I haven't heard before, but if there's ever been someone that you worked with that you felt a little awkward around or had a hard time getting to know them, what did you do to overcome that? You were friendly, you made small talk with them, you helped them out, showed good teamwork, stuff like that to help develop a relationship. Like I didn't used to really get along with this person, but I realized that they were just funny and we now we get along great. Always a happy ending, right? Successful results. Describe a time you had to make careful plans in order to meet your top priorities. This is where they want to hear about how you plan your day to make sure that all your jobs are going to get done right. Okay. If you've ever had a super stressful day where you are able to talk to them about, well, there was this one day at Macy's where I had 25,000 things to do and I made a list at the beginning of the day and I picked the most important things first and I checked off the list. That's fine. If you don't have an example of that, talk about what you would do if you needed to make sure you got everything done by the end of the day. Would you make a list? Would you write everything down? Would you put it all on your phone? Would you set timers for yourself? What would you do to make sure that you met all the priorities for the day? That's what they're asking there. Tell them a little story about how you can do that. Here's another one. Give me an example of a time. They want to hear a little story. Give me an example of a time you were given several jobs at once. How did you handle that? I was just talking about that in the last slide. Did you make a list? Did you ask for your manager for priorities? If you don't know what the most important job is, it's good to ask that question of what's the most important thing you've got going on that day? What kind of organizational tools did you use? Your phone, a notebook, a checklist? What did you use? Or what would you use in that situation? Give me an example of a time when you had to think quickly to get yourself out of a difficult situation. This could be a difficult customer, or it could be a safety thing where you had to think quick to get out. There was a safety hazard and I hightailed it out of there. There was an aggressive customer or an aggressive person that you had to go report immediately to the manager that there's some guy flipping out in the grocery department, something like that. Something where you had to think quick to, and then the successful result of that in your star format is everyone was safe. We got the guy out of there, whatever the safety hazard was, or if it was a difficult customer, how did you turn that customer around and make sure that they were got happy, made sure they were happy. But sometimes they want an example in that question of a time where you had to think quickly to handle something. Give me an example of a time you faced a conflict while working on a team. How did you handle that? You're working at an apartment complex. You and another guy are cleaning the stairs, and you say, you clean the top of the stairs and I'll clean the bottom of the stairs. And the guy says, I don't want to clean the top. You clean the top. And okay, so you say fine, and you're a good team player. So you took over the top of the stairs while someone else did the bottom of the stairs. The stairs got done. The stairs looked great. You showed excellent adjustability and teamwork by being flexible about which part of the stairs you wanted to do. So it shows a good example of teamwork. So anytime the conflict just means like a little disagreement, it doesn't have to be a big disagreement. In fact, it's better if it's not. Some little conflict, like I was out of soap and I couldn't find a coworker to give me any soap, and just so many different things. Conflict is a little disagreement, okay? It can be a big one too, but for the case of an interview, I would choose something smaller and simpler than that. Those are all the examples that I have. Remember when you're answering these questions to use a STAR format. Use as much of this information as you can in your answer, because you really want the interviewer to have a picture in their mind of what it's like to work with you, right? Friendly, happy, that you know your job, you're going to take quick action, that you can solve problems on your own. Small problems, you don't have to handle the big problems. The managers will do that for you. Your situation, your task, your actions, and the happy results of your actions. STAR format. Thank you to The Balance and The Muse and Slides Media. And thank you for watching, and thank you for your time and attention. I'll see you next week.